Yes. What is your take on who will eventually win the election?
Well, there are no elections really in Rwanda, but this is what I fear. I fear because, obviously the constitution was amended. I'm not sure whether it has term limit. I think it does, but I think it did not apply to him.
Yeah.
So he was allowed to run for another. So it's like, it was amended, but then it became like fresh. I think you have 2 7-year terms, right?
Yeah, correct.
So 7 years ago, as the constitution was amended, or the new constitution, he became president for the first of the 7-year
7
terms.
years. Yeah.
Meaning, after this, he would be eligible
for another.
I think he is eligible to be president until 2034. Okay, so this is my concern. How are you going to transition away from this one person? Because as the article said,
he's 66.
The article said in the Times, the most troubling part is that the economic and political power is reserved.
Yeah.
Excuse me, for the ethnic Tutsi elite. That model is not sustainable, when you comprise about 15% of the population. It's not a sustainable model.
It's a recipe for disaster.
What will happen in the long run? You see, you can't just legislate and say we're not going to discuss issues of Hutu, Tutsi, we are all one people. Okay, well and good that you're saying that and writing about that.
But in practice,
if you're not, putting that to practice, it means a potentially explosive situation is going to be bottled up for a long time, and you cannot keep it perpetually. So that's my number one concern. How are you going to deal with these issues in the long run? You see?
And so you think he will be defeated in this oncoming election?
Oh, no, of course not. It's an election that he is managed. And then that's part of the problem. That's the fear, though, that once the country is down the line, it's in a position where you are able to manage these elections. We cannot manage it perpetually because the fact of the matter is that none of us live forever, and by virtue of being around at a particular historical moment in Rwanda's history, 1994, you were able to elevate yourself in a commanding position to use the argument, whether it's not 100% accurate, but it's still a strong argument that it is I who stopped this genocide.
Which is
so
factually
I should
incorrect.
Be entitled to rule this country, and if I tend to have a heavy hand and authoritarianism, it is far much better than what was before me, which was the genocide, right? So you can make that argument. So are you going to instigate another genocide so that somebody can make the same argument down the line? Of course not. Or should I not rule that out? You see? So how are you going to sustain it going forward? That's my number one worry. These superficial elections,
and the area where
they're only important in the sense that it prolongs something that needs to be.
And the area where his country sits is also deeply problematic. You've got that corridor of constant flow of people, and with real or imagined enemies.
Correct. Actually, there is one solution, of course, which in fact, even I think it was Nyerere who may have suggested it a long time ago, and that would be an East African Federation. Because when you have an East African Federation, they're not going to be pitting Hutu and Tutsi. Now they're part of a broader federated East African region. And because one of the issues they have also is, of course, the issue, it is one of the most densely populated countries in the whole world. So they have the issue of the land strife and resources. But now they're part of a
larger group,
a larger Pan-African United Federated, nation. now you have freedom of movement, relocate to other parts of the Federation, which is not as densely populated as Rwanda or Burundi. So ultimately, if it evolves that way, then of course, the concern that I'm expressing today, that's how it will be resolved down the line.